Okay, so welcome to this week's Spiritual Journey with Lindsay Banks. Today I have Leanne Juliette, a spiritual catalyst, alchemist and mirror. She dispels illusions to activate revolutionary transformation. Welcome, Leanne.
Hi.
I was just thinking, I love that introduction. Can you imagine telling your careers advisor at school that that's where you're going to be when you move?
I remember doing the careers test and it came out as teacher or journalist. So I actually am teaching now, but you know, with people. But yeah, it's quite funny. Like if you imagine that would come up, you'd be like, oh.
Exactly. So can you explain a little bit more about what a spiritual catalyst and mirror is?
Yeah, so I'm somebody who I work within the shadow realm. I work within darkness. You know, they're my favorite playgrounds, so to speak. Like I understand shadows, I understand darkness, I understand how to transform people from the inside out. A lot of people get focused on being in the light and that's the only place, but for me, you have to go into yourself, you have to be in the darkness, you have to be in your shadows, and you have to understand your shadows and your fears and everything that's there, because that's where your genius resides, and that's how you then step into who you are. And I'm somebody who, I'm a mirror, so I reflect back to people who they actually are, which is why I always trigger people. And I could never understand that as you know, as I was growing up, why people would just be bitches or arseholes towards me for no apparent reason, or why I'd trigger my now ex-mother-in-law or other people and get like really nasty reactions from people, but also really positive reactions from other people. And it wasn't until I went through my awakening just over 2 years ago, where I started looking into being an empath, and I discovered that I'm what's called a Heyoka empath. A Heyoka, so Heyoka, which is classed as like most powerful empath, but it's that we're mirror empaths. So what we do is we reflect back to you who you are and who you're not, which is why I work with illusions and masks and shadows, because as a mirror, people see in me what's within them. So I attract people into my life all the time who'll be like, oh my God, you're so amazing, I love being around you, you're really inspirational, I find you really inspiring, just being in your energy, I really want to go on with my business now. I'm like, because that is in you, but you see it in me, so you can see it in yourself. Or I'll have people saying, what the fuck, who are you, you're an absolute bitch, blah blah blah. And I'm like, because you're coming from your own shadows and your own egos, and I'm reflecting that back to you, so you can see that and work through it and deal with it.
Yeah. Okay, so just going back, so you said about you had your own spiritual awakening a couple of years ago. So what did that look like for you?
So it kind of started around like, I'm an absolute geek with dates now. I'm a Virgo, so I like details. Around August 2017, and I've always been into like spiritual stuff and psychic stuff, but I didn't realize how intuitive and psychic I actually am. And around August 2017, I remember having a couple of readings, and one of them in particular, she was talking about the synchronicities that I'd started noticing, like the numbers, and or I'd just be sat at traffic lights and suddenly some random person's name that I've not seen for years would pop into my mind. And 2 minutes later they'd walk around the corner. I'm like seriously, like how is that even possible? So it was almost like everything was happening to kind of like wake me up to who I am. And around August 2017, I'd started back at a new job, and then things changed there, so it wasn't going to be secure again. I was like, I need to step into myself again and just like, you know, become an entrepreneur. You know, I keep talking about it, but I don't do it because I rely on the safety net of a job. And then things kind of like really escalated after then. And beginning of 2018, I started looking more into my psychic abilities, my intuition. I started opening up what had already been there, but really paying more attention to it. And then it was in June 2018 when I left my husband that was kind of like a bigger catalyst for me to really step into myself, and like things started opening up really fast. Like I'm a massive advocate for transformation because I've been through it myself. I am a shaman. Technically I am a shaman, and I've been through it, so I recognize the importance of transformation. I recognize the importance of working with your fears and working with your shadows to really revolutionize who you are and be the person that you came here to be. So that's kind of like how my awakening started. And it's funny when I think back to who I was like 2 years ago and the doubts that I had, like, is that my intuition or am I making it up, and everything. And I think a lot of people, they, you know, everyone goes through an awakening differently, and it's really about just embracing who you are and letting go of who you're not, and stop pretending and stop trying to be somebody else, and just really finding your peace, who you are. Really, that's my take on an awakening.
Yeah, because I think it must have been 2018 when we met. Now, I'm rubbish on dates, so
yes, I think it was, because I did my Reiki with you just before I left my husband, actually. Yeah,
so we met, and I remember, I can't remember, I think you were talking a little bit about the shadow when you came to the Reiki day, and I didn't have any awareness of this shadow. Like you said, you know, I was very much like, oh, light worker, working in the light, you know, doing all this stuff to raise my vibration. And then the day after our Reiki, I went on what I can only describe as like a 5-day downer. I was like, I didn't want to.
You never told me this. I didn't even
tell you. I did, because I didn't recognize it, and I wasn't who I was. I didn't want to get out of bed. My body felt heavy. I was crying for no reason. And a friend of mine, she even said to me, she said, Lindsay, she said, what's wrong with you? She said, I've never seen you like this. And I was like,
Leanne was in your life. That's what was wrong.
And I think we had a conversation a couple of months later when I said to you, oh my God, I went this down. And you went, oh, that'll be because sometimes I trigger people. And I was like, what? Why did I not know this? Do you know what I mean? And so like you said, in terms of triggering people, you definitely I felt that triggering. And it definitely did bring stuff up for me that I maybe wasn't that I didn't want to face in myself, stuff that I wasn't aware of. So, but luckily I had like tools like meditating and journaling and you know, all this stuff that we have as psychics and intuitives to rely on. So is that sort of what you do to people? So they see you face to face.
What I do to people. I literally, like, I describe it as like I rip the fucking band-aid off you kind of thing. That's what I do, because I don't believe in dancing around illusions. Like, I'm somebody who, like, I've gotten into astrology a lot recently. I'm such a geek when it comes to that. And my Neptune, so Neptune is the planet of illusion and mystery and everything. My Neptune is in my 12th house, which is the house that it rules, which is where it's comfortable. So again, the illusions and the Pisces mystical aspect, and it's conjunct, so opposite my ascendant, like literally within like less than a degree, which basically means I'm woke as fuck and I see everything. And it's very rare. I think Jim Carrey has the same. He has Neptune 12th house conjunct ascendant. So yes, it's quite, I think it's quite a rare thing, and I never realized how much I actually see. I used to take it for granted, everything that I do and everything that I am, like a lot of us do with our gifts and our genius. We take it for granted. And I could never understand why I'd trigger people. Like, I you know, for example, my ex-mother-in-law was just awful and just nasty and everything. And it's because obviously she saw the ugly inside of her that I was like trying to bring out. And I remember there's a girl at school who, she was just awful towards me. Like, we used to be good friends, and then from the age of like 11 onwards, she was just not very pleasant. And it used to give me like a massive complex. It's like, what have I done? I've not said anything. I've not done anything. What is it? And obviously I realize now what it is. It's my energy. It's like, if you're ugly on the inside and if you're not being true to yourself, and I'm going to reflect that, but I also reflect your good qualities as well. So it works both ways. But I pull out the shadows, I pull out the fears, I pull out the darkness and everything. And I once had a psychic describe me as a light bringer, because I bring you from the dark to the light. Because you cannot have light without darkness. You can't have daytime without night. You can't have the sun without moon. You have to have both. So when people are touting that they're light workers, and nothing wrong with being a light worker, I just work with the dark. But if you're only focused on the light, then you're missing a trick.
Yeah. It's
completely.
like, so
Yeah.
can you explain, if people haven't heard of what the shadow is, can you explain a little bit more what that is, and how do people recognize shadow aspects of themselves?
Yeah. So shadow, I even had a dream last year. Like, I'm very, I'm very psychic, clairvoyant, clairsentient, everything, and intuitive. And last year I had a dream where Spirit said to me, "You are a shadow worker," and I was like, "Am I? What's one of them?" kind of thing. So yeah, I have very vivid dreams. I get a lot of messages in dreams. So shadows, it's actually a term that was derived by Carl Jung. I can't remember when, like in the 20th century, to describe the aspects of ourselves that are kind of forgotten about or dismissed, or that we don't like. So shadows are the parts of us that we hide from the world. So maybe as a child, like a lot of them tend to come out from childhood, because we experience conditioning and programming, and we're brought up in a certain culture or society or religious beliefs or whatever it is our parents want to put onto us. So we adopt those as our own. So examples of shadows could be that you don't feel worthy. So for example, in business, you might not feel worthy of having clients, or you might not feel worthy of charging what you want to charge. In a relationship, you attract the narcissist, like we did as empaths. Or you so you don't feel worthy. Or maybe you have a feelings of shame or guilt. Maybe you were brought up in a very, very religious, authoritative kind of family and network, and you feel shame about actually pursuing your spiritual side, which goes against that. So there's shame there. There's also the fear of being seen. As a lot of women, especially a lot of witchy women like ourselves, it's the previous lifetimes where we hid, where we're persecuted, we're burned or drowned or hung or whatever for being healers. So we've hid. So that's a shadow aspect that can come through there. So we're always carrying this in our DNA. Abandonment, when children have experienced like a mother leaving or a death in the family, it can cause shadow reactions. So shadows, the main shadows that Carl Jung talks about is you have the victim, the prostitute, which really triggers people when I call them a prostitute, the saboteur, and the child. So these are like the four main ones that people have, like the main themes. There's lots of other ones as well. And there's another lady called Caroline Myss, M-Y-S-S, who also spoke about shadows. So these are like, they're like the fears. They're the parts that we hide from the world, the parts that we don't like other people to see. They're the masks that people wear. And obviously I reveal masks to people, so people get triggered around me because I see through the veil of the illusions and the masks there, because everyone's wearing a mask. So I see through that, and they can show up in different ways. So for me, a biggie for me has always been around worthiness, and around feeling worthy of having a business, feeling worthy of love, like the relationships I attracted, feeling worthy of actually charging my worth and everything. And a lot of women I see, especially entrepreneurs and spiritual entrepreneurs, have this worthiness fear, and the fear of showing up, and the fear of being seen, because we're still carrying the trauma from other lifetimes where it was dangerous. You could literally get killed for your voice, like literally. So they're like the main ones. An example is, so the child shadow is somebody who you're always having to ask permission to do things. So you might put surveys out there. Should I do this in my business? Or should I date this person? What do you think I should do? So you're not actually, you're seeing the world outside of yourself, as opposed to the magic and the control and the power being within you. And the opposite of that is the sovereign, where you own your place in society and you wear the crown and you know who you are. You're not having to ask permission. You just be the person. The biggest one I see a lot in the spiritual community is the prostitute, which triggers a lot of people. So the prostitute is the person who gives too much. Maybe they do a lot of free work. Maybe they don't charge for their gifts. Maybe they think they're doing the world a favor by not charging for their gifts. Maybe they undercharge. Maybe they in relationships, maybe they're the ones who are always giving, whereas their partner isn't receptive of that, and they feel that they need to give. And it's for me, it's a very needy energy. It feels very needy, and I recognize like the prostitute shadow immediately when I'm talking to somebody. It's like, it's a very needy energy that I need you to like me, I need you to pay me, I need this to work, I need you to love me. It's very needy. And the opposite of that is the lover, which is somebody who is happy with who they are. Like, you're owning who you are, again, like the sovereign, but you're not coming from a needy. You recognize your values and you love yourself first. So you release the toxic people from your life, you release the toxic relationships, the toxic friendships. You set fucking boundaries in your life. That's a massive thing for the prostitute, is not to have any boundaries. The lover, you set boundaries for yourself because you deserve to be respected and to be loved and to be treated, you know, as somebody who is worthy of that. The next one is the victim. So, woe is me, why is my life crap, why is this happening, why do I never have any money, why does everyone leave me, why does nobody like me, and like moan, why, you know, and to go to an extreme, like, what, you know, why was I raped? You know, people say that as well, and it's like, and it's not to take energy away from shit situations. You know, we all experience it, but you have to take empowerment from that, because the opposite of a victim is a warrior. So like, for both you and I, you know, we both left abusive relationships, narcissistic relationships. We could have been in the mindset of, woe is me, my life's crap. I got invited to go to some kind of like workshop with other domestic abuse people and sit around in a group. I was like, I can't think of anything worse. Sitting around moaning about a relationship. Like, take the empowerment out of it and own who you are and move forwards and be your own warrior, because that's, you know, nothing happens to us, it happens for us. It happens for us so we can see who we are and we can gain experience and we can move forwards. And then the last one is the last main one is the saboteur. So you're always sabotaging opportunities. Maybe you sabotage relationships. Maybe you think you're not worthy again, so you sabotage relationships. And then when somebody leaves you, you're like, see, told you so. Nobody loves me. Nobody likes to stay with me. Or you sabotage your business because you don't put yourself out there enough, and then you withdraw because the opposite of that is the magician. So it's actually being in your own magic and in your own power, and recognizing how powerful and unique you are, and that you don't have to sabotage anything. You have all the tools within you. You don't need to look outside of yourself.
So in terms of working with the shadow, do you feel like this is something that people would need or want to do at the beginning of the spiritual journey, or do you feel that they need to have tools to help support them whilst they're uncovering this shadow side of themselves? Because I can imagine for many people, you know, like you said, either being told that you're a prostitute or, you know, you're sabotaging your own life. If, you know, they might be like it. Exactly, yeah, might just be like, oh my days, what is this woman saying to me, you know? And yeah, so do you feel like there's a certain point where the shadow work comes in for someone?
No, I feel that it's something that we're always working with, because this is why I always say triggers are your gifts, triggers are your gold, triggers are what come about when your shadow and your ego don't like what's happening. So your shadow gets triggered because, for example, take unworthiness, which is very common amongst women, especially spiritual women. Take unworthiness. You see somebody being successful in business, or you see somebody having an amazing, you know, relationship, and you're like, oh, you know, why not me, and whatever, and which is kind of a victim as well. But the shadow is the not, you know, maybe you're giving too much, so we'll take the prostitute. So you're giving too much and you feel very needy and everything like that. But you're always going to get triggered if you're not recognizing it and if you're not dealing with it. And this is where I work with alchemy as an alchemist. I take the energy of what it is that's triggering somebody, the shadow, and we turn it into your gold. So basically turning shit into gold. That's what I do. Because there's nothing wrong with shadows. They show us who we're not being, and a lot of people get scared of it. And I remember there's a lady a couple of years ago who was in one of my groups who was telling me about a dream that she'd had, and obviously, you know, I interpret dreams all the time. she was telling me a dream that she'd had where she was running away from some wild animals who were chasing her, and she couldn't understand it, and she just kept running and running. And immediately for me, I was like, well, obviously the wild animals are your subconscious. They're the primitive aspects of yourself that you're not recognizing. They're the darkness, they're the shadows and everything, and you're turning your back on them, and you're running away. And she's like, but I'm a light worker, I need to be high vibe all the time. I was like, you're missing the point of what a light worker actually is. Because if you're not recognizing those aspects of yourself, then you're going to get triggered in different ways all the time. So for me, like, I get triggered still. Like, you know, you're going to get triggered because you're human. We're all human. We all have ego. And for anyone to say that they don't have ego is coming from their ego. We all have ego. It's part of being human. But this is where you get to play with the shadows, and you get to play with the triggers. And so instead of getting triggered by the same thing of not putting yourself out there and not feeling worthy, you actually work with that fear, and you're like, what is the greatest fear that you're experiencing right now? It's like, oh, the thought of somebody seeing me and like actually charging my worth, or actually like being classed as valuable, or actually respected. Like, it just cripples me, and I really don't want to put myself out there. And you're like, so put yourself out there then. Do it. Do the thing that absolutely scares the absolute shit out of you. Do that thing, because that is how you revolutionize that shadow. That is how you turn that shadow energy into your gold, by doing that. So I don't feel like you don't need to start it at any time. It's just recognizing when you get triggered. Most people, when they get triggered, be like, oh my God, I'm going to stick my head in the sand and like, you know, badmouth you and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to block you, or I'm going to ghost you, or whatever. Most people do that. Whereas with me, I'm like, oh my God, I just got triggered. I'm like, oh, got something to play with here. And just like, because I like it. I like getting triggered because it shows me the work that I still have to do on myself.
Definitely.
So I'm a sadist. I like that stuff because I recognize that. And it's almost like I have two different dialogues going on. It's like I have my higher self be like, oh, why don't you just do that? And my ego's like, kind of thing. But I see, like, I'm like, I don't get it, because I'm like tapped into my higher self, and it just makes sense to do it. But my ego's getting scared with it. So I know that I have to do that in order to overcome it.
Yeah, I think, like you said, like I used to be like, one of my friends described me as like an ostrich, because I always used to stick my head in the sand. Like if there was conflict going on or anything like that, I was just like, I don't want to know, I don't want to deal with it, I'm just going to leave it and ignore it and pretend it's not happening. But like you said, as the more that you start to recognize, so one of my big things was anger. There was so much, like I was being triggered constantly. Like, with situations, with events. But like you said, once you start to recognize it, and then actually asking yourself, right, why am I angry? Is it because of this particular situation, or is it because of something that's happened before? And going within, it has changed and transmuted, like you said, you know. So some of the events now, when they happen, I'm just like, oh my God, is this serious? Do you know what I mean? Like, and I can laugh at it rather than getting angry and annoyed. Because it's sort of like the anger isn't coming from that particular event or situation.
Not coming from your ego.
No, exactly. So it's interesting, like you said. I think when you start to work with it and can, like you said, laugh at it sometimes and just be like, oh my days, I'm being triggered. It does. It makes you feel more balanced as well.
And it takes the energy of that trigger away. It's definitely, like it dilutes it, because a lot of people, when they get triggered, it's coming from a fear. It's coming from your shadows, from ego, and from the fear. But what they don't understand is, like, that fear is just an illusion. By putting yourself out there in your business and asking for clients, or putting yourself out there on speaking platforms, or going on a date with somebody you really want to go on a date with, or whatever it is for you, are you gonna die? No, you're not.
Do it.
So just do it. Like, you're not gonna die for it. We don't persecute people in the Western world, and well, not physically anyway. We're not going to string you up and hang you out to dry for you doing what your soul came here to do. So just do it.
Yeah.
But it's fear, but that fear is energy. So I work with energetics and consciousness. So I'm able to tap into somebody's energy and work with that energy to mold it in a way that it ripples across all areas of your life. Because if you're working with that fear, for like a big thing for me was actually speaking up, was actually feeling like I couldn't be myself, I didn't have a voice. So that was a big fear was also being seen as a bitch, because for doing what I do. And I was like, but this is who I am. Like to not do that is to deny what my soul does. But that fear energy is very, very potent energy. It's powerful because it cripples people. It's very powerful, even though it's all in the mind and like trauma that, you know, maybe held in our bodies. It's very powerful energy. So when you take that fear energy and you do the thing anyway, and you do whatever it is that scares the life out of you, you transform that energy into power. And it creates that ripple effect. And it's not just in one area of your life. Energy is energy. It goes throughout you. It goes through all areas of you. So, you know, people I work with notice that they feel better in their bodies. They lose weight. They have better relationships, better relationships with a partner, with themselves, with their kids. They start to attract people into their life, like more soulmate clients in their business. They put their price up, they get recognized, because everything's is energy, and energy goes where it needs to go, and it creates that well, I call it my tsunami effect, because I don't do things by half. It's like if you're going to jump in, you might as well just jump all the way in rather than dipping your toe in. So I call it my tsunami effect, and it's going to go around the area of you that needs the energy the most. But do the thing that scares you, because that is potent energy that you can work with, and you can manipulate it and mold it and wield it for your own good.
And so I think as well, Leanne, you're like an amazing role model for yourself, because sort of like from getting to know you a couple of years ago, and that like unsureness, like you said, and those doubts, and I don't know what I'm going to do. But then you just got on and you did it, and you've done your Facebook lives, and you've put yourself out there on YouTube, and no matter what, you've carried on. Do you know what I mean? You've kept on showing up, and you've kept on speaking your truth. Which I really admire in you, and like you're just like, this is me and I'm doing it anyway. So I feel like you're like a fabulous role model for your own business, or your own self, if that makes sense.
The face of my business.
But you've done it, you know, like you said, you've gone through it yourself, and it's now about helping others. So if people want to come and work with you, where do they find you?
So I've got my YouTube channel, Leanne Juliette. I've got my website, leannejuliette.com. I'm on Facebook, Leanne Juliette. On Twitter and Instagram, Leanne Juliette. Like that is me. But my main one is my website, and obviously I've got my YouTube channel and my. You can follow me on Facebook. I don't post much on my Facebook business page, but on my actual profile, I post a lot on there, so, and it's always set to public anyway, so you can, I think it's I am Leanne Juliette is my URL for Facebook.
Okay, I'll stick all the links below, and then I'll put like a little link to your YouTube channel as well at the end of this. Okay,
cool, thank you.
Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed watching The Spiritual Journey with myself and Leanne Juliette, please do give it a like and subscribe, and do go over and check Leanne's work, because incidentally triggering me has like provided me with my information.
You're going to mention as well about the after last time we spoke.
So we did record a Zoom last year, was it, I think?
Last year.
And because I didn't have the technical know-how or the confidence, it just ended up getting shelved. But again, after speaking with Leanne on Zoom, I went into another downer, and the next day I was like, it's happened again.
And it's not to say that when you work with me, I need to put this disclaimer out there. It's not to say that when you're watching my videos, or when you're, you know, in my energy or working with me or whatever, it's not to say that I'm going to put you in a downer. It's not. It's whatever. It's whatever needs to come up for you. So like people that come into my energy, I'm like a vortex. I am a vortex. I'm a vortex. I'm a portal. I'm an energetic gateway for you to come in and release whatever it is you need to release and move forwards. So when people come into my energy, when they come too close to me, I trigger whatever it is that's in you. And you might think you have something that you need to let go of, but energy doesn't lie, and energy will tell me differently. So it's like I weave through whatever and pull through whatever it is that needs to come out. So that's why people can have very, very, very different experiences when they're in my energy, whether they're clients or friends or family, because it's whatever is unique to you. And like, I had a friend recently who spent a full 24 hours with me, asking me about relationships and love life and everything, and the next week she felt crap and she felt flawed, and I was like, hey, sorry, but it's like, but sorry not sorry kind of thing. It's like, if you're prepared to come into my energy and be prepared to have things come out for you, like the amount of people who ghost me or block me or like get angry in my face, and I'm just like, it's laughable. I had a lady recently who I commented on a post on Facebook, because I just thought the comment, you know, what she was doing was crap. And the person who'd been helping her with this then started commenting, saying stuff like, oh, yeah, you're just in your ego and you're being silly and everything. I was like, I'm not. It's that basically the lady was saying something like about, what's it, when people put Facebook posts out there saying, oh, I need to start getting rid of my friends and like, you know, blah blah blah, and let me know if you want to stay. I'm like, Jesus, like, why are you even doing that? Like, if you don't like somebody, just get rid of them. You don't need to make an announcement and say who wants to stay. That's very needy energy. That's prostitute energy. And this woman who'd been helping her got really triggered by it. And she was ranting on a post and calling me egoic and calling me nasty and everything. And I'm just like, love, this is hilarious. Like, can you not see what I'm doing? And then she like unfriended me and everything. I was just like, it's hilarious. Because, and it's not to laugh purposely at people's triggers, but I'm just like, accept it. If you're getting angry, then look at it. Like, why are you getting angry? What is coming up for you? You know, why are you scared? Why are you getting angry? Why are you, you know, feeling so bothered about words that I've said? Because I've not said anything that would cause that kind of reaction. But it was the energy as a mirror to reflect back to her and everything. And so so I was like, that's really, really funny. And so.
But I'm intrigued to see what happens next after our conversation today.
Yeah, like Lindsay's already put boundaries up to protect herself.
I was sat here before just going, okay, please protect me from Leanne's energy. But then I was like, well, whatever needs to be transmuted will be
exactly.
So there's a reason. There's a reason why we had this conversation today, I believe. So,
and that's what I always say as well to people, is that I always work from my heart. Like, whatever I say to people, like especially my clients or just like friends and family, it's always coming from my heart. And I was told last year that I was not being heart-centered by somebody who I triggered. I was like, but I am, because everything I say and everything I do, whether it's conscious or unconscious, is always for your highest good. It's always from my heart. It's always from a place of love, because I want you to be empowered. I want you to rise into who you are. I want you to be the person you came here to be. And it's always like, if I have to tell you something that makes you feel uncomfortable, I'm blunt and I don't sugarcoat, because sugarcoating keeps you stuck and it keeps you holding back from who you are. When people are like, oh, yeah, let's just pat everyone on the head and it's amazing, and I'm just like, blunt, because I see the illusions. I see where everyone's hiding. So I would rather somebody be honest to me, even if it makes me feel then, because then it helps me work through that. Then if somebody is like, yeah, it's roses and everything and it's all good, it's
No, I'm very, especially with my closest friends, if they ask my opinion, then like you said,
exactly.
I ask myself first, I'm like, what do I need to say most to this person right now? And if it comes across as blunt, then it is, but I know exactly like you, I'm coming from
comes from your heart. Exactly.
And I'm being honest with that person, which I would much rather be than tell lies and be like, oh everything's gonna be fine, when it may not be. So fabulous. Well, thank you so much, Leanne, for taking the time to speak with me on the spiritual journey. Please do like, subscribe, and if you've got any comments for myself or Leanne, do put them below. Okay, see you next week. Thanks, Leanne. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.